Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If you're new, you're very welcome. And my name is Jess. I live in Southwest Florida with my husband and our 2 teenagers. So if you'd like to join me today to talk about knitting projects, I've got a little bit of crochet and some sewing, then get comfortable and let's chat. This is episode 19. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm going to start with my admin. All of my contact information should be coming across the screen, and you will also find it in the description box for this channel, for the episode. You will also find timestamps and links to any of the makers and projects and websites I chat about today. I am trying outside today. We're going to see how this goes. So don't be surprised if partway through the video, the background changes. Ambient noise. The school is having their outdoor kids get their exercise round around on the track with music, so we'll see how that goes. We have birds, planes, hopefully no leaf blowers. You never know what's going to happen out here, but I thought I would give it a try. I could also be attacked by bugs, so all of that makes it so exciting to live here in Florida, even before hurricane season. So today I have a couple of finished objects and an almost finished object that hopefully will be done today, but I wanted to get on here and record, and otherwise it's going to take me a couple more hours to finish one of my objects, but I'll show you where it is. It's a nearly finished object. I'll give you some whip updates and some future plans. So let's get started. What I'm wearing today is a new t-shirt. And of course, I ordered it in black. Are you surprised? No, you shouldn't be surprised if you know me and you've been here a while. But now it's no question what I am. Now I do crochet, I do spin, and I do some occasional sewing, but I really do consider myself a knitter. Knitting is my very happy place. I need to knit every day. Even just one round at the beginning of the day sets me up for feeling good about going out there into the world. So I had on a shawl to show you this morning, but it's already heated up. Hopefully the weather, Mother Nature is treating you well wherever you are. We had some June temperatures last week, but then a lovely cold front came through that wasn't lovely for people to the north of us, brought some severe weather, but it brought us this beautiful, clear skies, cool, natural air conditioning, which for us means winds out of the north. So thank you so much for sending that our way. I am not a Floridian natively, and this is definitely not my climate, but this is where my employment is. So this is what we have to work with. Anyway, oh my God. Squirrels fighting, we're good. Behind me is a cypress swamp. And no, I don't feel like alligators are gonna come out and suddenly attack me. There could be some snakes that would slide by, but non-venomous ones normally. We do have water moccasins, also known as cottonmouths. I'm more worried about the mosquitoes and biting flies, so hopefully this breeze will stay with us. But there can be deer, armadillos, things like that. But the squirrels right now made me jump. I am now the edgy knitter. I want edge. I wanted this to be short, and we're already over 3 minutes, so let's move on. Okay, so there'll probably be a lot of little jumps and edits today, just to set you up for how it's going to be. And today is Friday, April 11th, 2025. I believe it's the 11th. So let's get started with those finished objects. All right. I've also changed my camera setup, so I'm not sure where I'm looking. Anyway, so if I'm not looking directly at you, it's because I'm lost on where to look in my phone's camera. So I apologize. Nothing short of the usual around here, is it? And if you hear any crashing noises, it's because I'm using a laundry basket out here and a table, and the ground is lumpy and not level. All right, that's all my disclaimers at the front. Okay, up first are some finished objects, and an almost finished object, so close. So the first one is what I talked about last episode, and that was one of my lingering whips from 2023. And that is this, which you're not going to see now. I'm outside, right? The greenery, maybe. This is the Knitting Badge Neckerchief, a free pattern on Ravelry by Nicholas Heed. And I made this for my husband. And I used some leftover yarn. Let me see if I can tell you how much I used. I will link the pattern below so that you can go and find that. Hang on, sorry, I'm outside, so slow connectivity. Stop apologizing. Right, it's worked on 2.5mm needles, which are US 1.5. I used Tulip Tree Yarns merino sock in the color The Cabin on Fraser's Ridge. I did 5 repeats of the pattern, which is this garter and then drop stitch pattern repeat. So I did 5 more after that and then blocked it out. And so it comes out to being able to, you could either just put it like this, have it around his neck, or tie it. He wanted it just a little longer from what I did last time. So I repeated to row 10 of the pattern and then bound off. So you could just do that. Wear however he likes, however jaunty he wants to be. Basically, it's just to keep his neck a little warm when he's sitting in the office, because otherwise he takes my blankets and is trying to wrap up. So that is this little pattern. It's probably the only sort of neckerchief pattern like this I have ever made and probably will make. I'm not sure he'll even use it. I hope he will, but he seems surprised, pleased, but then always a bit dubious that he needs things. I ask him if he wants socks. And he does wear the ones I've knit for him, but not very often. He likes the socks that he likes already, so that's fine. He doesn't have to have more things, but he gets that. If he doesn't want it, I'll find someone else to gift it to. Anyway, so that's finished object number 1, and one of my lingering whips off the needles. All right, up next are some dishcloths that are crocheted. These are the linen stitch washcloths, dishcloths. It is a free pattern from Liz Alvaro, who is Arrow Acres Farm, and she's half the team on Cocktail Hour at the Coop podcast here on YouTube. And so I will link that below. I use the 6.5mm size K crochet hook, which is the size called for in the pattern. I used leftover worsted and DK weight cotton yarns that I had in my stash. I'll show you those in a moment. Here's the pattern up on the screen somewhere. And basically it's to get the cloth to be 8 inches square. So whatever size yarn or hook you need to accomplish that is great. I ended up casting on or chaining 2 more stitches to accommodate that size difference. And then I just kept crocheting until I would fold the cloth in along the bias, really, corner to corner, until it made a square, and then I knew I was far enough. So I didn't measure or count, I just do it for each one, using up all my leftovers. It's a super fast pattern. I have been attempting to crochet and knit dishcloths for charity, and I don't know, it just wasn't happening. And these are super fast. So something about the stitch, the linen stitch, just makes them go so fast. It's so pleasing. As it says on the pattern page, Liz designed the pattern to help support a program called Each Stitch Counts, and I'll link their website below. Their mission is to alleviate hygiene insecurity, so they provide food pantries with dish soap and laundry detergent and dishcloths. So what they need are makers to make the cloths that they then will attach to some soap and donate. So I will link them below if you're interested in donating cloths to them, or perhaps you have something like that in your local area that you would like to do that for. So let me show you those cloths. So I had a bunch of brightly colored ones left over. So this was the first one I made, and now I haven't blocked them or anything. They're cotton. I think I used, I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby, some old stuff. I don't shop with Hobby Lobby, but somebody had given me a gift card or something. And so I had this cotton. So it's actually quite soft, but you know, it's a dishcloth. Nice little pattern. So you chain the number of stitches that calls for in the pattern, or whatever size you need to get 8 inches. It does, as Liz says, it does shrink in a little bit as you work. So you want to go a little bit, maybe past 8 inches, knowing that it's going to accommodate in, as long as you're close to an 8-inch square, right? Nobody's going to get out their ruler, I think, and measure it, but this was just the size they asked for. So that's the texture you get. At the end, then, as Liz states, when it's long enough, you just chain, I think it's 12 chains, attach it, and you've got your little loop for hanging. So I've made in several colors. I need another one in blue, different size, because I realized this is a little more like 7.5. Some were even smaller or just less than 8. I don't know. They were different sizes. I did this fun pop of color. See, I do color. I don't wear color much. There's that one. And then I had a little bit left over, and then started the yellow. So I thought, oh, I'll just do a sort of tropical summer vibe, I don't know, by changing colors here. And that's it so far. They are super fast. I made a couple in a couple hours. I've been taking them in the car for car work, car crochet. They work up really well. And plus for me, my left hand, I'm right-handed, so my left hand, my thumb, I find gets sore, I think, just from trying to manage the thicker yarn. I don't know what it is, but I find that it kind of irritates my left thumb joint, so I can't work on them too long. But you know, a couple hours, and less than an hour probably, to get one of these done. It's a super, super fast project. So if you're interested in that, go check out that pattern. All right, my almost finished object is my Art Nouveau sweater, patterned by Eleanor Mortensen. I am on the bottom hem, and I'm trying to get it out for you. So here we are so far. There she is. Oh, I love it. I tried it on last night to see if it's ready for the bottom hem. I am doing the hem in 1x1 rib instead of a 1x1 half twisted rib where you twist the knit stitch. I just don't feel I need it, and I wanted to keep with the sleeves. I don't really like 1x1 twisted rib. I understand why it's there. I just didn't feel I wanted it in this sweater, so I didn't do it. I am, you need 2 inches of the ribbing. I've just gone past 1 inch, so we'll see how far I'm going to get on that, and then bind off. So hopefully that's done tonight. And what I find is that I am on ball number 3. I think I purchased 4 balls of the Mayak Fibers Fiordolino. So in this color, graphite is the main color. And I'm just now on ball 3. And so far I have 30 grams remaining out of a 50-gram ball. So I'll have at least probably about 1.5 balls left that I could potentially extend the sleeves. I'll have to do a little math to calculate how much yarn I would need, whether it's worth doing, because I'm not really good at sleeves that come to here. I think, you know, they look nice, but I don't tend to wear them. If I could get it down to almost bracelet length or something like that, that would be best. So I have weighed the ball. So that's why one of my markers is for this one here. I've weighed it, and I'm going to find out after I do the last part of the ribbing how much yarn I used for that number of rows over that many stitches, and then calculate how much I think I would need to extend the sleeves. So we'll see. I could just wing it, separate the amounts in 2, and work on each sleeve until I run out. And I've done things like that. Happy, you know, if I'm willing to rip back because it didn't work or start over, but I'm going to attempt to see how that works. So take a page out of Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes, out of her playbook of doing some calculated yarn management, I think is what she calls it. and see how far I could get. See if that's gonna work for me before I even bother to start, right? I'll do that work up front. Hopefully, as long as I do my math correctly. But you never know, there's no guarantee. So we'll see about that. But I tried it on to check the fit, and I love it. It is so comfortable. It is so soft. It is, for me, next to skin soft. So this is a blend of Tibetan wool, baby yak, and Italian linen. It was my birthday splurge, and it is so worth it. I've talked about this before, but the colors here, and the orange is butternut, and the pink is pink cosmos. So she should be done, with the exception of thinking about the sleeves, but it will officially be done probably tonight or later today, depending on how long this takes. So that is my nearly finished object. So I'm going to talk next about 3 works in progress that I've been actively working on over the last week. The first is the Antrim Shawlette. So last time I had finished part 1 of the Antrim Shawlette. So it comes with the full Antrim shawl pattern. It's just a smaller size. So this was section 1. I used Knit.Purl.Repeat Stroll in the colorway Dove Heather for this section, which has worked with some increases and decreases on the edges and this repeat of the slip stitch texture. I have now finished section 2, where you introduce color B and you work another slip stitch texture. So I'll show you what it looks like on the back, which I think the back still looks quite nice. So I like the way that this is now fading in or blending in. The next color is keeping the slip stitches from section 1 in there, also introducing some new slip stitches here in color 2. And so now I'm ready to start section 3, which is the last section, and it works just in the color B, which I'm using the color Madge, which is on from Fiber MacGyver on their Merino Twist base. And so that hopefully will also be done before we meet next time. The next pattern I'm going to show you are my socks for the April Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad sock set. I didn't bring out the calendar to show you the colorway inspiration. I showed you that last time, but I'll put a photo up here. So it's now been well over a week, because today, if I didn't say it, I believe is April 11th, 2025. It is Friday. And this is the colorway that we're using for April. Now, unless it's too dark, it looks dark on my screen. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. It's probably true to color out here, natural light. So I am using the Swiss Dot Shorties pattern by Nancy Wheeler. I am knitting the 72 stitch size on 2.25 millimeter needles, magic loop. It is a cuff down pattern. I have, the side probably shows up better. You cast on with the contrast color and work the cuff in 1x1 ribbing, and then you start the charted pattern. I can't remember actually if it's only charted. If it is charted and written, I'll put that up here, but it will be linked below as well, my pattern page. So you make, you do these sort of garter rows with the contrast color, and then you work these little dots with the main color every so many rows. So what's really nice too in the pattern is Nancy gives you instructions for these dots, working them using a cable needle or without the cable needle. So I have tried both ways because I don't really have a small enough cable needle for the size. I want something really short. So I did use a double pointed needle, but it's a little too long for wrapping these stitches. So I've done more doing it without the cable needle, and it seems to have worked well, trying to keep the wraps loose enough that they don't become super tight and create holes in the sock. Nancy also has a video showing how to work that stitch, and that's included with the pattern. So I really like the way that this is coming out. It has a slip stitch heel with a garter edge that I'm just now working on. Sorry, there's lots of animals in the vegetation over there. Don't know what that is. It sounds big. Oh, someone's dog over there. Okay, neighbor's dog, 2 doors down. Hopefully he calms down. Even though it's a 72 stitch size, I don't really need 72 stitch size socks really, but since I started using 2.25 millimeter needles to get the more dense fabric I like, I switched from 64 to 72. I probably could do it just 68, but you know, with the patterns, it's easier just to stick with 72. But that means I do modify the length of the heel flap. I only work it to follow the 64 stitch sock pattern, including the gusset, so that it's not too long and then the gusset isn't too long to accommodate my foot. So I have a woman's US size 9, roughly, foot, but I'm kind of between, I'm almost to the wide size. I guess I'm a C, whatever that is. So I do need that little extra bit. I have a high instep as well. You're getting to know all about my feet. Anyway, just for reference. So the 72 stitch size works better for me if I use 2.25 millimeter needles. It is slightly loose sometimes in the foot. So I'm thinking what I might do for this one is once start doing the gusset decreases and keep the dot pattern on the instep, I might actually decrease the number of stitches on the sole of the foot. And then when I get down to the toe, decrease the instep so that I have the same number of stitches going down the toe, so that when I go to graft, I have even numbers on both needles. But those are my Sock Squad socks. I'm doing one at a time because I'm also working on a test knit for Nancy. So I'm kind of alternating between those two. All right. It is Friday, so that means today is Finish or Frog It Friday. So I need to pick one of those lingering whips from the pile to either work on over the weekend or frog it. This week, I believe what I'm going to do, this could change because I'm moody. I'm a moody knitter. Maybe that should have been my channel name. It's probably already taken. But anyway, sometime today into the weekend, I think I'm ready to do some frogging. I have 2 shawls that need to frog. One will be easier than the other. And I think that's only fair. It balances out the universe, frogging 2 shawls when I'm knitting one, and one of my new cast-ons coming up is another shawl. So a little bit of balance. My issue and procrastination with one of them is that it's my Geo Gradient shawl, which has a lot of work done on it, and that's not the issue. The issue is the number of short sections of yarn, because there was a lot of working something and then cutting it and then changing yarn colors. So I'm not sure that I want to have a bunch of little sections. I'll have to see what parts were done, and maybe I could just rip back to a certain section, save the rest and use it for, I don't know, a cushion cover, something. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not really sure. If I can't figure it out, it will not be happening this weekend. We'll just leave it again. Anyway, so there'll be some frogging this weekend. If I change my mind, then I have a couple of projects to work on. One of them is the cami from Tori Yu that I'm blanking out on the name on, but I'll put a picture of it up here. I'm working on that in Purl Soho Linen Quill. And I think I got to a stopping point in the pattern where I need to start doing something else. So that takes time for me to get back into the pattern, figure out where I left off, where we're going from there. But I don't think it'll be that much to do yet, because it's knit bottom up. And so I should be getting up to the point where I'm splitting and doing stuff like that, so shorter sections. But I need to refresh my memory on that pattern. So that is one that should be getting done, because there are lots of tanks and tees right now I want to cast on. So that one needs to get off the needles. Although it's a very warm fiber, I still want to get it off the needles. So that brings me up to future cast-ons and plans. I don't have any acquisitions this week. So let's talk about plans. As I mentioned last time, I was swatching for the Amy Sher pattern, the Relax Tee. I'm going to knit that as part of her make-along, and I had the swatch. I actually changed needle sizes, so I started frogging it out because I didn't disconnect it. I blocked it on the needles. So I first started in the pattern needle size, which I can't remember what it was. I'll put it on the screen, which makes a nice fabric, but my gauge was really small. It would have meant the difference for the size I wanted. Instead of having 6 inches of positive ease, I would have had 2. So that was not going to work. I had to try again. So I went up a needle size, I think a US 5. So I think this is a US 4. I went up to US 5. I already started frogging it, so this is all that's left of it. I had more. It's just, I started frogging it and then remembered I was going to talk about it. So this is a much looser gauge, but I don't think it's horribly loose to like where it's going to start looking meshy and sloppy. I meant to say like mesh, or sloppy. I think it'll be nice and airy, so I'm pretty happy with that. I was pretty close to gauge. I either get gauge or maybe off by half a stitch. So I think if I opt for the larger size, which I think is size C, then I'm going to get something slightly smaller than that, but that would be okay. So as long as it's between sizes B and C in the end, I'm happy with the fit either way. So this is next to get cast on as soon as I finish the Art Nouveau sweater. This is getting cast on, so should be this weekend. I'm using yarn from Hypnotic Yarns from their Yarnable subscription from last September. I think it's called Happily Ever After. It's on a plush sock. It is so soft and squishy, and I really do like this color. I think I'll be all right wearing that in a shirt. I better be, because I'm gonna knit it. I'm gonna wear it. Up next is, again, I mentioned 2 shawls. So since I've been frogging, or probably frogging, at least not working on one of my other old shawls, and I'll be finishing up the Antrim shawlette, I decided I will join in with the Woolly Thistle in their current shawl along. So it's a knit or crochet along, making shawls. It's going on right now. I'll put the dates up here on the screen. So to be entered to win prizes, you can click on the link to sign up. That just gives you emails and access to Zooms, things like that. And then you'll get the form where you can enter your finished shawl to be in the drawing for prizes. But you do have to use at least 80% of the yarn purchased from the Woolly Thistle. But anybody can join in. You can join in and knit along on their Facebook page group, or on Ravelry, which is where I'm participating. Just to knit along with other people. There are a lot of other makers in there that are crocheting or knitting that aren't using Woolly Thistle yarns, but they want to knit along, work along with everybody else. So you're completely welcome to do that. If you want the company, or if you run into a snag of something, you want help, that's a great place to go. So because I have the Pebble Beach shawl on my queue and plan to make it, I did talk about it in my special shawls, One Skein Shawls episode. I'll put a picture up here again of what that looks like. I decided to ask some of the members in the group their opinion on the yarn I was thinking of using, because I'd never worked with it. So I have in my stash these 2 hanks, and it still is 1 skein by my brief, because these are each 50 grams. So this totals 100 grams of fingering weight or 4-ply yarn. It is 100% pure lamb's wool. The color I think is called light yellow. It's from Bichet Bouche, Le Petit Lamb's Wool. It's so old that you can see the writing on the back has come off. I can actually see it better out here, but it's called light yellow. I think I got it in one of the Woolly Thistle's sampler or taster boxes, where you can you get a random sampling of yarns that they tend to sell in the shop. They choose the colors, and you just go for it, and you get to try out a bunch of different nice woolly wools. And so this was a set that I got. I really like yellow. Like I said, I don't tend to wear it as a shirt. I would love to wear these as a shirt. It's not really sure. I mean, light colored hair, lighter skin. It might just disappear from head to waist. So, but I thought as a shawl, right, stand out, look really pretty. So I hadn't worked with it before. So I asked some people about this and using it in that specific shawl pattern. And I got a lot of great reviews, responses from people, their experiences working with this yarn. And in particular, one knitter who who has used this yarn and has also knit that pattern. And they thought this would be great to use in that pattern. So this is what I'm going to be casting on once I finish one of my other projects, which should be soon, and probably the Antrim Shawlette. I'll finish that first and then cast this one on. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's coming up. Also, I want to mention now, I am now part of the Woolly Thistles affiliate program. What that means is I have an affiliate link that I'll put in the description box. So if you use that link to go to the Woolly Thistles website and make any purchases other than gift cards, I earn a small commission on that purchase. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no difference in the price to do so. I just really want to promote their yarns and their small business, especially now that with the current situation with tariffs, and how that's going to impact their business, because they particularly specialize in not just low processed wools here from the United States, but also from Canada and from Europe in particular. And so that's really going to impact their business dramatically. So I really want to help support them. That's why the business exists, was to give us here access more easily to these wonderful wools and to support those crofters and farmers in mills in these other places that are small businesses as well. So go check them out, and yeah, I'll post that affiliate link below if you're interested. All right, I do also have some sewing plans coming up. I am a massive procrastinator with sewing, partly because I'm not very good at it in terms of clothing. I mean, I can do it. I don't want to change myself or sell myself short on my ability to sew. I can, but I'm not someone who's prolific in garment making or that successful in it. So, and my sewing machine's always covered with other stuff, so I have to get it out. You know, it's just not really that accessible. And then picking out fabrics. So trying to get fabrics. I don't have a lot of access to things in person. We have a Joann Fabrics nearby, but of course they're closing. So I am going to check them out and see what they still have in stock. I would like to get some linen or linen blend fabrics to make some long pants, shorts, and also the dress here that my friend Liz, I talked about earlier, is going to make. And so maybe that will inspire me to get it finally made since I own the pattern, get this finished, because she's making one too. So maybe that'll boost my push to get this done. I don't know what the words are now. I'm just rambling. But I would like to get those done. But when they're going to happen, yeah, it all depends. But hopefully, I need to get. I have some pants patterns, but I just want to do some simple pants. So I think I might look at the ones from Style Arc or from Helen's Closet, because those have the look of the kind of straightforward style that I am interested in. If you have a favorite pattern for long pants, trousers, but relaxed ones, I mean casual ones, please feel free to drop that in the comment box so I can take a look at it, see what might work for me in my, I don't even know that I have intermediate skills. I guess I've made some clothes, but not very confident in the fit. So we'll see. But I'm not a beginner. Anyway, those are my plans. Okay, the birds are getting very active. There are now like 3 kinds of woodpeckers all around me. So I think we'll stop there for today. Thanks again so much for joining me here. And I hope you find some time to craft over the weekend until I see you next time. And let me know what you're working on. I'd love to hear about it. All right, until I see you next time, thanks so much for visiting. Take care.